How's it
Miss Julie on my screen
going?
today.
Peeps.
True crime
Hey, my
tales in
sweet
her own
darlings.
way.
So happy you're here.
Love for everyone
Guys,
she shares.
I've
Life
got some
stories
macaroni.
told with flair. She dives into mystery. Brings suspense in
Hi.
every scene.
Hi, Randy.
Smiling
Good to see
bright,
you, sweetie.
heart so pure. In her
Hey, guys.
world we all adore. Miss Julie's world.
Hey. Good to see you.
It's where we turn to life.
Hey, guys. Everybody.
And filled with
Hey,
every
darling.
word.
How is everybody?
Late nights and coffee
Oh, good to see.
sips. Unfolding plots from twisted scripts. Through dark
Hey,
days,
guys.
she
Sorry.
lights our way, making sure we're here to
Hey.
stay. Miss Julie.
Good to see y'all.
Is where we turn to life.
Hi, darlings.
And fills with every word. Oh, late nights and coffee sips.
Hey, my sweet darlings. How are ya? Good to see you guys. Oh my goodness, I don't think I like that. I'm going to change that back. No, I don't like it. Let's see. Much better. Much better. It might be okay for sometimes, but I need all this to be seen. So, how is everybody? We are working on getting our special guest up on panel. But in the meantime, let's welcome some people. How's that sound? I gotta show y'all something too. Well, show y'all a few things actually. Juicer! There's my sweet Juicer and my sweet Brandy. Hi, Brandy. My sweet darling, she has helped me so much today. We've been working on a lot of different, some graphics and some things. That's fine. That's fine, Rapper. Just behave yourself. Shiny Bee! Anita Casey! Wicked West! Hey, sweet darling. Guess what tomorrow is, y'all? Tomorrow is Wicked's birthday. I just wonder if she might have received anything today. Don't know. A little bird told me she might have got a little something today. Hi, Sharon. Good to see you. Well, I'm hoping that there's Miss Eve. Oh no. Says Nichole can't get in. This is not good. Not good. I wish if she clicks on it, what does it say? If she clicks on the link. You haven't checked today. It's Amazon. So it's not going to be in the mail, I don't think. My 20 yeah, it's her 21st birthday, y'all. 21 forever. Well, let's see. I'm trying to see if I can figure out. That's why I wanted to try to test it earlier today, but it's okay. We'll get it. We'll get it. I'm just wondering what it tells her whenever she clicks on it. Yes, please, Brandy. Maybe because where she has an Apple product and we go back and forth about Apple and Android and different things, but she has an iPad. So with Apple, you have to use Safari for that link. Try calling her through Messenger. I don't know what that well, no, that's not gonna help because she's gonna have that open, isn't she? Alright, 22nd birthday. Okay. Okay, thanks. Yeah, we'll take that. We'll take that. So, what well, Imma show y'all something. So, I am getting to enjoy my sweet, sweet tumbler that Aussie True Crime sent me. And you guys, look, it has my avatar on it. I love it. She is so sweet. All the way from Australia. And then she sent this one is hers. Isn't that just so sweet? And also, I got me a keychain. Oops, backwards. There we go. Aussie True Crime. I love it. And she just really set me up, y'all. And she sent me a nice tote bag with her logo on it. And also, got me a nice, smell good, scentsy. Mm. Oh, it smells so good, y'all. So good. So fruity. It smells so good. I love it. Thank you, Aussie. You're the best girl. I appreciate all these goodies. So, so what have y'all been up to? Let me say hello to everyone. Anybody else that's coming in? Look at there. There's my Lulu. Hey, Lulu. I love my pictures of the moon last night. It was beautiful. Beautiful. Yes, it is very cool, isn't it? I'm I was really tickled. I knew I was getting a few things from her, but she surprised me. She surprised me with my tumbler, with my face on it, y'all. I love it. And it keeps my coffee perfect. Let's see. Trying to see if I'm missing any. There's Yvonne Smith. Hey, darling. Good to see you. We are trying to get our guest on panel. She's having a little bit of issues, and I'm hoping we can get her all squared away. Melinda, if you're in here, I called you this evening to touch base with you because Melinda is actually one that's going to be coming up and telling us her story. Also, man, I tell y'all, I have been reading so much in on these that it's scary. It's scary, and it's just horrific what these girls went through. And to think that some of these places are still open today, well, I am in awe of them going and advocating and doing just everything that she can to help close these places down. It's just awful. It's just awful. But I'm going to read you a little bit of history on the Victory Christian Academy, also known as the Lighthouse. Lighthouse of Northwest Florida, also known as the Lighthouse Christian Academy, and previously Victory Christian Academy, was a behavior modification program that opened in 1985. It was marketed as a Christian residential treatment center for teenage girls 10 to 17 who were struggling with a variety of issues, including alcohol/drug and oh, let's see. There we go. You know what, y'all? I am so happy to inform you that Miss Nichole has made it. I'm excited. So, y'all, please help me in welcoming Miss Nichole Norton.
Hello.
I'm so happy you made it.
Yeah, I had to take one of the dogs to the vet and didn't think it was going to be as complicated.
Yeah, it's different with the Apple product. I know I have an iPhone, and I have to whenever I go on a panel or something with the iPhone. That's what it is. That's the reason I knew you have to use Safari. Did you have to use Safari?
I don't know what it clicked into, but it's working.
Okay, that's all that matters, right?
Yep.
So I was given a little bit of backstory about the lighthouse. Is that what you noted as? Was it known to you as the
No,
light?
actually, when I was in Jay, Florida, it was Victory Christian Academy still.
Gotcha. I gotcha. But I know last week you were in chat with M, as M was on panel, and
Yep.
I know M is an amazing woman, isn't she?
Yeah, she
Amazing
is.
woman, and I'm so happy that we've got to get to know her, and I'm very excited to get to know you and to hear your story.
Ugh.
So, are you okay with just telling your story?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, you guys just hold on to your seats because this is going to be a ride.
Little bit of one. I think I was either 16 or 17, and I was living in southern Florida with my father and his wife. And I left my home here in Illinois with my mother and my stepfather because things at home were getting to the point where I was 13 years old and thinking about committing suicide because the abuse from my mother and my stepfather was so insane. And I ended up calling my father in Florida, and so I went down there and lived with him. And it was like I got to my dad's house, and it's like, here's your room, here's a key to the door, stay out of trouble. So it was extreme opposites. Like, my mother picked out my clothes. She, dictated what we did, what we ate when we got up. I mean, it was just total control. And then with my father, it was like nothing. Like, I could stay over at friend's house without asking, and they wouldn't call or worry about where I was or what I was doing. And I never really got in trouble. Wasn't that kind of a kid. And well, I was down there. I was going to school. I was taking honors classes, college prep classes. I was an AB student, and getting down there was such freedom. A lot of mental health problems started to pop up, and my father just didn't want to recognize it, I guess. And by the time they did recognize it, that, you know, things were happening and there was issues and stuff. They basically just waited too long. And I ended up in the hospital for trying to commit suicide 3 or 4 times. And I got put in the hospital a couple of times for absolutely no reason whatsoever. And one of the doctors had told my father that I needed residential treatment. And then my stepmother took my baby brother, Zach, who was about 3, I think. And because she took one college course, the beginning, you know, Psychology 101, and then she dropped out of college and never pursued anything and is a yoga master now. You know, it makes her a psychologist and a psychiatrist. And, you know, they were telling her about my symptoms and things. And she just instantly thought I was dangerous and shouldn't be in the house. And she took my brother and she went and moved in with her mother. And my dad told me I was going to this place. It was residential, and it's up north a little bit in northern Florida. And, you know, it's kind of already what you're used to have been in the past. So I wasn't worried or like apprehensive. I was like, okay, this is going to suck being in residential treatment, but it can't be any worse than, you know, the hospitals I've been in. And so for about a month, I stopped going to school, and all my friends were freaking out and were worried about me. And my father would order Pizza Hut and he'd have it sent to the house so I would have something to eat. And instead of coming home from work and being with me at the house, he went and stayed with his wife and his mother-in-law and would just order me pizzas. And once a week, he'd come by and make sure I was still alive. That's how much he cared about me. And I don't know how he found victory. I don't know how he found any of it, who recommended it. No clue about that part. But I believe it was the cheapest option possible. And at the time when they sent me there, it was $2,000 a month. And he told my mother that I was going to go here and he wanted her to pay half. So it's $1,000 from each of them for me to be there. And so we pack up my stuff and get in the truck and drive up there. And I'd never seen cotton fields before. And there's like all these cotton fields on the one side everywhere. And we thought it was snow at first. And we're like, oh, it's a cotton field. There's nothing. There's this 2-lane road. And there's cotton fields as far as you can see. And then there's like woods on the other side. And you roll upon this really old mansion style house. And it's got a brand new building attached to it. You can tell it's new construction. And there was another house on the corner and it was blue. That was Michael Palmer's house. And there was an RV camper, a large one on the side. And that's where the Cookstons lived. And I remember we got out of the truck and walked up to the front door, and I'm wearing military combat boots and jeans and a black metal t-shirt. and this old woman in a dress who looks like somebody's Christian grandmother answers the door. And she's got 2 other girls with her that look like they're dressed in like from the 70s or something. And I noticed there was nobody there. It was quiet. And the kids I saw that were walking around were like arms to the sides and looking down. And that's when I knew something was up. And then they took my parents on the Shiny Happy, you know, look at the apple tour. And I got taken off to somebody's bathroom, strip searched, had to squat and cough, and told to take a shower, and no soap, no shampoo. So I just basically got wet. And then the two girls, I didn't know their names. They didn't speak. I was sitting on the sink counter, and I'm just like, what the F you guys do for fun around here? And then they took me down to, we called it the multi-purchase room because we ate there. We had sermons there. We had church there. And all these tables were lined up. And I'm just like in shock. And they told me to sit in this chair at this table, and I'm like, where are my parents gone already? And they had put me in this skirt and dress, and they told me I had to wear high-heeled shoes for 3 weeks. And I took them off. I said, I've never worn heels in my life. This is not gonna happen. And I ended up wearing a pair of flats. And my first day, and I hadn't even been there 3 hours yet, the woman I would come to hate, known as Miss Betty, came down the stairs from where the kitchen is into that room, and she just said, she screamed, "You!" and pointed at me, and I'm like, what? And she's like, "There's no cussing allowed," and she just backhanded me as hard as she possibly could. My glasses flew off and hit the wall. I got knocked out of the chair. And I mean, I was just like in shock. I'm like, where the hell am I? What is with these clothes? Why can't I wear any of my clothes? Not understanding anything, nothing. And because I was considered high risk for escape and suicide precautions, they have the buddy system, which is the girls who go with the flow and drink the Kool-Aid, so to speak. You get a buddy, and you have to go wherever they go, and you got to ask them to go to the bathroom, and they're the only person you can talk to. You can't talk to anybody else. And you sleep in the top bunk, they sleep in the bottom. I had 2 of them. And I was on double buddy the whole time I was there. And it was only like the last 4 months while I was there, they put me on semi buddy, which meant I was still on buddy, but I could speak to everybody else. And so, like, when I was allowed to talk to everybody else in the dorm, it was just, they all had these questions and everything. And it's like, we never thought you were ever going to get to talk. And so that's how it started. I got sent there because I had some pretty severe mental health issues. And instead of doing any research and finding out, what kind of help I actually needed, it came down to who's the cheapest and how can I get rid of her to make my wife happy.
Oh, that's just it's
Yeah, they called it being on watch at Bethesda. It was a helper. They weren't very helpful.
Yeah. No, they weren't. The helpers were usually like Nazis. I mean, they were not helpful at all.
No. And to my great shame, I was a helper too. Like, I usually had 3 new girls at a time. It was awful. It was really awful.
But I'm sure you were forced to do that too, though, wasn't you?
Oh,
You didn't have a choice.
Right.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. But still, you look back and you're like, oh, that's so embarrassing that you did that. But you didn't have a choice. They just went, congratulations, you're a helper. And it was like a privilege that you got to be a helper. Congratulations, you have a new girl.
Yeah, it like becoming
congratulations,
a helper
you get to help torture somebody.
Yeah, by becoming a helper, it was kind of like a promotion. Like, you were this much better than the rest of the girls. You got this much more trust. But that's all it really was. They got a little bit more privileges, a little bit more trust to do things, but they still got in trouble like the rest of us. But yeah, when I got there, the place was interesting. It was a really old
Good word for
house,
it.
and on one side it was just cotton fields, and on the other side it was thick, dense. You need like a machete to get through it type of woods.
That's
And
Bethesda,
there's just
jungles of Mississippi.
Yeah, and there's just this 2-lane road going in front of it, and you drive past it, and you'd never know what it was. Because it had a nice picket fence, and the yard was all manicured.
Bethesda, there was just like this dirt road.
Yeah, it was. Well, it was a paved
It looked
road.
like
It wasn't a dirt road. But yeah, I got put
Ours
upstairs.
was just this long dirt road. We can still see it in our nightmares.
So,
It was just a dirt road.
Pastor Michael Palmer.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us a little about Pastor Palmer?
Yeah, I've learned a lot about him from other survivors. He's a Lester Roloff devotee who came from a place called the Farm, which is a place where he kept all of his minions and trained them and got them, to be like him. He started in Ramona, California.
The farm is in Corpus Christi, Texas.
Yeah.
That's where it all started.
Hey, Em, can I ask you to do something for me, please? Whenever you're not talking, do you mind to mute for me? There's like I don't know whether you have a fan going that's making a squeaking sound, but if you could just mute when you're not
I can turn
talking.
the fan off.
Oh, no, you don't have to do that. I hate for you to do that. But just mute whenever you're not talking. Then
No,
you
it's
can
okay.
unmute when you need to talk, okay?
It's like a squeaking cricket.
Yeah.
I call her fan Jiminy. Jiminy Cricket. But yeah.
So was Pastor Palmer there whenever you were there?
Yeah. He had started in California. He was arrested for trying to marry a 13-year-old girl in his custody. There was a girl who was killed on the property. And I've heard from many different other survivors, especially Ramona ones. Some say it was an accident and she got killed, and others say it was outright murder. So I wasn't there, so I don't know.
How'd she die?
They used us for forced labor, so they used us for every single labor, cleaning, building, and apparently they were building something, and something that was supposed to hold wood collapsed and fell on her, and it killed her. And then the California Supreme Court ordered Palmer to get state licensure and, get your place on the up and up or get out. And since he didn't comply with that, he was, the court said he is forbidden to have any job or anything to do with children in the state of California. So he picked up stakes and he moved to Florida. And so he moved Victory from California to Florida. And when I got there, a lot of the girls that were at the Ramona school transferred to the Florida school. Because I couldn't figure out for the longest time why so many of them were from California. And I said, well, they came with him. And so, Michael Palmer is a piece of work. He had this sadistic predator grin. And when you were around him, you just felt wrong.
Felt the evilness.
Yeah. Yeah, you could. And he singled me out right away for having short hair. And, they'd have, I called them shaming services, because if you were fat or if you were super skinny or had short hair, they'd have the homosexualism is a sin against God and you're going to hell sermons, and the obesity sermons. It got so ridiculous, and constant fire, brimstone. I mean, constant, you're not worthy of God's love. You know, you broke your family. It's your fault you're here. I mean, it's just constant negativity, just constant, everything you do is wrong. And they literally try to break you. And it wasn't until after I got out that I found out that they did break me. But it was definitely interesting.
So how long were you there?
I got there in October of 1996, and I wasn't there for an
Except for the
entire
roll-off
year. I was there
pattern.
for about 9 months. And then we had Christmas and New Year's, and I left sometime in 1997.
It's too long though, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was. It took about a week for me to get used to the routine, and just like coming out of that initial shock of where in the hell am I, and just the rules and the sermons. It gets to you after a while.
We over here on
Tell them about the
sharing
Jewish.
with Chewy, we definitely are God fearing people, and we love the Lord. And just so you know that, but we love one another also. We don't shame anyone for their way of life, whether their sexual preferences or what. But we do love one another, and we treat each other as as we want to be treated. So, there was a little controversy last week. Well, the last one M was up on panel, that we had somebody saying, that we were blaspheming against God. Please,
No,
please.
Emily and I talked about this actually. Trying to convey what we went through to someone who hasn't went through it is extremely hard to do, because it's such an intimate, awful experience. And I told her that if you think about veterans, most people know a soldier, have one in their family, are friends with one. And, when they go to battle and they come back and they have issues, and it's one of those things where only their fellow soldiers understand, like truly understand, because they were there. That's kind of how it is with us. I can pick a survivor out of a room in 15 minutes, just by what they're saying. Because whether it was Rebecca House, whether it was Bethesda, Ramona, they're all the same. But it's not religion as you would typically think of it. It's
a cult. It's not. It's not religion. It was a cult.
Yeah,
and that's what I was trying to convey.
Yeah,
I completely agree. I completely agree. But I do have to put that out because
Oh,
I get why you got slammed, but it's
yes,
it's
that's
kind of like,
unfortunate.
it is. It is. And like I said, I don't agree whatsoever with what happened with you guys. I mean, in my opinion, it is nothing but an occult. That's all.
Oh, it definitely is. It's under the auspices of being a Christian place to help kids, but they take the religion and they twist it and pervert it to meet their own needs. And to me, that's not religion, that's a cult.
It is.
And when you take the Bible and you twist it around so much, and then you have all these other beliefs, that's what it was. So when I say religion, I don't mean religion. Victory is listed as a cult by the FBI, as is Bethesda, and a few other places. Am I right, Emily? But that's what they
By
do.
Rick
They
Ross,
tell
by
you,
J.J. Lalick, by all the recognized cult leaders.
yeah.
They've been recognized as a cult. So
Yeah,
when
so
we're not attacking the religion or God at all, we're just saying that they used God as a front for their abuse.
Exactly.
They were just really smart about it. They picked something that's very hard to refute.
Yeah. And that's how they sucker a lot of the parents, is they go, oh, it's Baptist, but it's Christian. They'll learn about God in the Bible and it won't hurt them. And it's like, no, they're not teaching you about God in the Bible. I mean, I was literally beaten with
they
Bible
were right.
once.
They did teach us about the Bible.
I mean,
nonstop. We did learn about the Bible.
Yeah, it was the only book we were allowed to have. King James Version Bible. Any other Bible was a sin against God and was not the true word. They had a whole stick for everything. But they just took the Baptist, I'm just going to say it generally, and they just perverted it to suit their needs.
Meet their narrative. They changed it to meet their narrative. Their agenda. They had an agenda with it, and it was to put
they ran with it.
fear in you guys. I mean, it was all
and
about.
It worked.
Yeah,
for some of us.
It did. I can tell it.
It did for some of us. It was very effective for some of us. It was about the money. I mean, Agape Ranch, when we took them down, they were making $44 million a year. A year off of what they were doing to these boys. That's disgusting to me. That's absolutely appalling that they were profiting like that.
Yeah.
And, they were because they claim to be a church, it's tax-free.
Yeah.
Like, they weren't doing this out of the goodness of their heart like they were telling people. But trust me, they were not. If they were doing it out of the goodness of their heart, they would have been doing it for a whole lot less money. And that's not what they were doing.
There was roughly, I want to say, 130, at least 130 girls were in Victory where I was at. And $2,000 times that is what they're getting a year. And
a month. You said
a month.
Right.
I mean,
and they were feeding you pizza out of the trash.
Yeah. Like one of the things, and I posted this in the Victory Survivors group. So does anyone have issues eating pizza, or specifically Pizza Hut? And they're like, no, why? And it's like, you guys don't remember? And we would have pizza, and it was reheated, but it was from Pizza Hut. What I found out is Palmer would go to the local Pizza Hut, and he talked with the manager, and he put on the typical show of, oh, I run this home for wayward girls, and some of them I don't charge the parents, and it'd be so nice, like, could we work something out?
Crap.
And he worked it out that the buffet pizzas, they have to change them out every hour. This manager was saving the old buffet pizza, and he would go pick it up once a week, and we had pizza night, and we were allowed to eat as much pizza as we wanted, which was really, 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 really rare. And then one of the girls whispered to me, "Don't eat the pizza." And it didn't make sense because I was like, why not? This is like the best thing we get to eat. And they told me later on in secret, it's like, you see when Brother Palmer comes in with Brother Brown and he's got those big black, garbage bags in those containers. And it's like, that's where the pizza comes from. It comes from the trash pile over at the
Trash.
local Pizza Hut. And he was feeding it
That's-
to us.
That's
One
how much
girl-
they loved and took care of us.
One girl, she found a wad of gum in her pizza once. Another girl, it looked like somebody had just swept the floor and like emptied the dustpan in the bag. Yeah, and they expected us. I mean, and you ate what you were given. I mean,
You did.
I would have
You
ate
were
it.
hungry, didn't you?
If you were hungry enough, you would have ate it and been
So-
like, here's just extra fiber at this point.
yeah,
I completely understand.
I ate a cricket at Bethesda.
yeah.
I mean, it was delicious
Yeah,
at that point.
you told us that. I mean, that's
Yummy.
hungry.
Emily, tell
That's hungry.
tell her about the your first meal.
Hi, Penny.
Oh,
the
where I
chili
ate
dog.
What?
Oh, it was our first. Oh,
Emily's gonna tell you the story about her first meal at Bethesda, if she can.
they were doing a good meal at Bethesda because my parents were there. So they served chili dogs and French fries, and I was crying really hard. So they served, they put mayonnaise on the top of the chili dogs, and I threw up in my mouth because I was crying so hard. And then anyway, I threw it up, and they made me eat it.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Same thing at Victory. If you threw up, they'd make you eat it. If you were too skinny, they would put you on double trays, which meant you got double portions of everything. When I got there, I was on the fat girl diet. So I had quarter rations with no
I
dessert.
shouldn't laugh. I was on the fat girl diet too, and I wasn't even fat.
Yeah. I mean, I was a little chunky, but I wasn't fat. But in the span of time I was there, I lost about somewhere between 70 and 80 pounds.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I guess
I
they
did an
thought that
interview
was
one time,
that was
I still can't eat chili dogs.
an accomplishment in their eyes, I'm sure.
Well, everyone there
Yeah.
was super skinny. And
You
there
gotta
were
look good for them
girls-
preacher boys, you know.
yeah, there were girls that were there were like real petite, and there's no way they could eat as much food as they were being given. So they had to carry around buckets with them in case they threw up.
Oh,
And
God.
it was just, the food was terrible. Everything was powdered
mercy.
eggs, powdered milk, powdered everything. I saw a box getting taken off the delivery truck one day, and it said grade D meat, also for human consumption. And I'm like, what in the hell is grade D meat? I mean,
It's probably roadkill or something.
and it said, and also for human consumption. I'm like, so
Probably raccoon.
yeah, the food was just nasty. It was the same thing for breakfast. So every morning what you were having. Lunch and dinner changed. If we get group punished, so like if they felt that it was more than one girl causing an issue, they'd punish all of us.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that could be anything.
That's a very common
from,
tactic.
It could be anything from having to stand with your toes touching the wall and your nose touching the wall with your hands behind your back all day long, all night long. Sometimes they wouldn't
That is so
feed
painful,
us.
too.
Were you ever locked in a
Wall
room?
Yes. there was a
The Get
closet
Right room.
in Brother Kissel's office, and that's where the Get Right room was. And it had a keyed lock on it. And you'd get thrown in there, and it smelled like pee and everything else. And they'd lock you in there, and there was no light. And you'd be in there for a few hours to a few days. I know I was in there for at least 24 hours one time, and they have the old Lester Roloff cassette tapes with his sermons, and they'll play them as loud as they can, and you're stuck in this tiny box with no bathroom, no bucket, no nothing, and you're all you can hear is Roloff screaming in your ear, and you beg to get let out and go to the bathroom, and sometimes they would, sometimes they wouldn't, and then they throw you right back in there, and you didn't get fed.
Roloff's voice.
Yeah.
That's so sad. We have a trigger warning. That's so
Yeah,
awful. Nichole, we're a trigger warning.
Yeah, that was the Get
YouTube
Right
is so
room.
strict on stuff, I'll tell you.
Yeah, that was the Get
I
Right
did
room.
I did an interview with a reporter in Hattiesburg, and we cleared out a whole coffee house one time. One lady couldn't get down the stairs fast enough. I felt so bad. I didn't realize that we were that bad. And then you realize how awful what it is you're talking about when people are just like, oh my God, and they can't get away from you fast enough. You're like, oh dear, I guess it is pretty awful. You kind of forget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
They do stuff like make girls stand in chicken poop. I mean, just you look back on it and you're just thinking, what in the world?
Yeah.
So
Like
you
what
said
kind of
that it
think
was
of that,
called
you know?
the Get Right
The Get
room?
Right room.
Yep.
So
The Get Right room.
the Get Right room, while you were in there, what had to happen before you could come out?
If they heard you
What's the
praying,
criteria?
sometimes if you prayed and they'd let you out, it depended on like when they opened the door and they said, are you still going to be a problem? And have you gotten over your sinful whatever? And if you gave them the finger, they shut the door, and you're like, or if they grovel at your feet, and say, oh, I've learned my lesson, please let me out, I'll be a good girl, I won't do this or that anymore, I swear, I promise. But so it was all at their discretion.
Brandy,
I
love you, Brandy.
It was all decided on what you did that put you there in the first place, and then it was kind of at Palmer's discretion how long you got left in there.
That's why it was at Bethesda. It's kind of like,
Was it like?
Yeah. And
did he have a partner or a wife that at like they did in Bethesda that they called? I mean, what did you call him?
Oh, it was all the men we had to call brother. So it was Brother Cookston, Brother Palmer, Brother Brown. All the women were Miss Betty, Mr. Mr. and Mrs. Kissel. So that's how we had to address everybody.
But you didn't have to call them like Mama and Papa like we did at Bethesda?
No, there was one woman who was very elderly and Hispanic from Mexico, I think. And I never quite understood her role because she didn't come out of her room very much. But we were always told to call her Abuela. And I'm like, what does Abuela mean? And they said, oh, it means grandmother in Mexican. And I'm like, there's no way in hell I'm calling that woman grandmother. He says, I know who my grandmother is, and it's not her. Yeah. But other than her,
we had to call the Wills Mama and Papa. It's just disgusting.
Yeah, it was either brother or Miss Betty, Mrs. Palmer. That's how we had to address everybody.
We even had a stupid song we had to sing to them about Mama and Papa, we love you.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was really charming.
That's so sad. So sad. Lord, you gotta love the trolls.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. It's just one of those
Yeah.
experiences that, like, when you tell another survivor, it's just that light pops on and they instantly know. Like,
Because
you
it makes
don't
so much
have
sense. Yeah.
to say anything else, and it's just like, I get it, but it's yeah. And then they break you down with the physical labor, because we cleaned everything, we cooked everything.
Picking carpet.
They
We had to hand pick carpet.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Hand picking carpet.
Anything,
just buy a vacuum.
That
Yep.
would
Pick it with a fork. Pick it by hand. Yeah, like,
Yep.
for Pete's sakes.
There were sheds on the property. The girls had built those. When he had initially bought the property, Palmer had the girls that were there do a lot of the construction, and it was all illegal
That's
slave
not
labor.
very ladylike. That's
And
not very ladylike.
we didn't get any. Nobody got any extras or anything. It was just, you're told what to do and you did it, and if you didn't do it, you got beat or you got put in the get right room, or both.
It was instant obedience. It really was. Like, it was.
Yeah.
I mean, go along to get along.
Yeah.
I know. I was talking to a pregnant mom the other day, and she was like, you just did what you needed to do to get out of there alive. And I'm like, you shouldn't go through your first pregnancy worrying about surviving it. That's terrible. That really is terrible.
Yeah.
That's not how your first pregnancy should be.
No. No, it shouldn't.
Like,
was there any pregnant girls there at the Victory? At Victory?
No. Nobody there was pregnant. I think at that time they'd stopped accepting pregnant girls, because I didn't know that they did that until I had met Emily. Like, I had no idea that they were selling babies illegally at all. And so now but yeah, none of the girls there were pregnant.
But do you know,
But
was there any SA or a sexual assault or anything like that going on there?
Yes. There was one time they tried it with me, and it was during a Sunday service of all things, and somebody standing behind me had put their arm right here and was like touching my neck and massaging my shoulder, and I just, I remember grabbing their arm, turning around, and I looked at him square in the eyes, and I said, "You're gonna have to kill me first." And then he never tried touching me again. But there were we all had to be in our dorms by 8:00, and there was an alarm set, and not everyone's always asleep, but there'd be certain girls, and it was usually the same girls. They wouldn't come back into the dorms until 1, 2 in the morning, and it's like, where have you been? What in the world did you do? Like, we're like, and then it kind of got whispered to me what went on with certain girls and certain male staff members. And then I found out about the the note passing that we did. It's like if you were to go into a bathroom stall and the stall connects to the wall and there's that silver plate that holds it there. We found out if you wrote really tiny itty bitty notes and folded them up, you could stuff them in there and you'd use dental floss to fish them out, and you'd read it and see who the note was for. And I just remember getting a note and then it said, "They're touching me and I can't make them stop." And I remember replying back with a what and a question mark. And that's how we got information back and forth between the girls who couldn't talk and the things we weren't allowed to talk about. And yeah, I heard stuff that Palmer was doing things, that Brother Brown was doing some things, and after learning about him trying to marry a 13-year-old girl, I'm not surprised.
No.
But
No,
I
that
made
pretty
it
much
very
tells
clear
you
they could.
everything, doesn't it?
Yeah, I made it very clear. I said, you can beat me, you can make me put me on kitchen duty, you can do
Repulsive.
but you ain't doing that. But there were girls there that were so broken, and I think that's what those were the girls they preyed on, the ones that were smaller and weaker, that they knew that they could control them.
Right. They knew which ones they could get by with certain things with.
They always do.
Yeah, it's sad
They
in a way
always
because
do.
it's I think of it as like professional pedophiles. It's like that's exactly what they were. They had all these young girls to pick from. Like, that one's gonna fight me. That one can't keep her mouth shut. Like, that one. And every so often you heard stories, or you'd see a girl coming back from Palmer's house by herself, which was a huge no.
That's a big red flag there.
Like,
Yeah.
because the main place was here, and Palmer's house was just over there, like maybe 300 feet from the house, and you could see out the windows of the multi-purpose room. Nobody walked alone. I mean, even helpers weren't allowed to walk alone outside. And I remember seeing this girl come out of his office door and walk to the front door and knock, and then Miss Betty went over with the key and unlocked it and let her in. And I was just like, what in the hell? And that's when I started getting whispers and notes about be careful, they get touchy-feely with us here, and there's nobody to tell. No one's gonna, we couldn't use the phones. There were no phones. We wrote letters. We were mandatory letter writing twice a week. And if it wasn't all flowery and happy, you either got beaten, got lines. You were always forced to rewrite it and say, oh, I love it here, and I'm learning so much about this and that. And it was all a front. It was just to make everyone at home feel comfortable. Oh, they're fine. This is a good thing. It's working. And in truth, they're beating us. They're starving us. They're saying that we're curses upon our family. And just it just is, if you can think of like the total fire, brimstone, ridiculous sermons, that's what they were. And it was, you were a horrible, evil child. You go against the will of the Lord. And it's like, that's not the God I know.
Exactly.
And it's a total perversion and distortion of religion is how they control
they were
us.
constantly, you can't be saved because you do this, you do that. You can't possibly be saved. It was constant. Yeah.
My God is a loving God, is an awesome. He's a jealous God. Don't get me wrong. He's a jealous God, but he's a loving God, and you know, you just can't treat people.
Now, see, then, like, instead of saying that to us, they would be at a podium in the multi-purpose room, and we have all our chairs out for chapel, and then we go, the Lord is a vengeful, angry God. He hates sinners, and he hates you for being whores and blasphemers and not being right with the Lord. And you're here so we can teach you how to walk with God. And if that means we have to beat you with a belt or a paddle or our fists or pin you to the
They would
floor,
show us movies.
you know, it was just, it was such a joke. I mean, the level of indoctrination and brainwashing is so extreme. It just blows your mind.
Yeah, that we have a moderator. What she goes by, God is love, and she just came in to chat, and somebody told her perfect timing for you to come in. God is love, because that's true. God is love.
Yeah, that's how I feel about it too. It's
I am so sorry. I have a survivor emergency, so I have to
okay.
go.
Okay, all right. Thank you for coming
I
up, Ann.
apologize that I have to leave, but
You're
I
fine. Thank you.
do. So it was good to see you guys. It was good to have a
Good to
talk with
see
you
too.
again.
Thank you.
Okay. I hope to talk again with you soon.
Absolutely.
Good night.
Bye.
Call me later. No, but some
So,
of the. Oh, go ahead.
no, it's fine. It's fine. What I was going to ask you is, I know you said you got to leave. So, what happened? Where did you go? And when you got to leave, what happened in your life?
Uh, I had gotten taken to one of like the sitting areas, and I was told I had a phone call, and I thought it was really strange because we weren't allowed to have phone calls. And my mother was on the phone, and she had said that if I wanted to come home back to Illinois, that they would come down and get me, or if I wanted to stay there, they'd figure out how to pay for it, and I could stay there. And I said, no, come get me. And my mother was having issues paying half of the fee for me to be there, so that's what it came down to. Otherwise, if they could have both afford it, I would have stayed there. But that's what happened.
So, did they believe you, your story of what
Mm,
happened?
we got home, and it was basically like everything else in my life with my mom's side of the family. It's sweep it under the rug and don't talk about it. And so for 20 some years, I just lived with it in my head that I was a horrible person and I'd done all this harm and wrong to my family and I deserved what I got. And just, it comes around every so often. And I would look stuff up and not really find anything online. And then one day I came across the website that Emily runs, the Heal thing, and I had called, and that's how we met. And I told her that I went to a place called Victory Christian Academy in Florida, and she told me to go on Facebook and what groups to get into. And I have made so many friends. You know, I, I call all of them as my survivor sisters and brothers. And that's how I found out this has been going on since the 1950s, that it's a cult through and through, and they'll they go here, and then they get kicked out, and they go here, and they get kicked out, and they go there. It's just a game of basically following the dots through history.
Yeah.
Because after I left, Michael Palmer's wife had died. I was told he became a drunk for a while, and then he sold the property to Brother Cookston, which was really surprising to me because he was like the bottom rung on the ladder. He stuttered horribly, and then Cookston took it over and renamed it Lighthouse, and he ran that until they got chased out of Florida. And then come to find out, when I testified in Missouri a few years ago, the Cookstons are running a place called Master's Ranch. And I've seen the pictures and everything of him, and it just blows my mind. It's like I've tried to talk to people with lawyers and things, and I'm like, how can this not be a case? I mean, they started at the farm at Trailer Row. They were trained by the leader. They branched out, went all over the country, did horrible things to children, and then they get kicked out and they go here, and they get kicked out and they go there. And it's so frustrating because they list themselves as independent fundamentalist Baptists. They're not connected. But in truth, they actually are extremely connected. So it's just like when the Catholic Church went through its thing with victims coming forward.
Mm-hmm.
They moved the priest from this parish to that parish. That's the same thing that these people do. If you beat a kid too bad or it was something sexual, then like, oh, we're gonna send you over here. It's a girl's place or a boy's facility, and they would move staff around like that, and they'd hire sex offenders and people from prison, and nobody had licensure. Nobody had, they were therapists. Nobody was a trained therapist. Nobody was a doctor. They were just IFB.
So I seen where the Tampa Bay Times did an article, actually a series of articles on the lighthouse or the Victory House. But apparently that led to an investigation to where it got shut down.
Yep.
And I'm thankful that they went in and investigated it. And do you know if there has been any litigations, any lawsuits, or anything against them?
I don't. I know some of the younger survivors, they got better advice than I did. When I was in my early 20s, and I had no idea I could have sued them for abuse and everything else. But a lot of younger survivors are aware of their rights a little bit more now, and they're suing these places once they get out. I don't know anybody who sued Lighthouse, but I'm pretty sure a few people did.
We'll have to do some research and see if we can update it. But I know we have started a petition. Did you see the petition?
No.
You didn't see it? We posted it in the messenger.
Oh, I probably didn't see it yet.
Oh, it's okay. Let's see. Let me put it in the chat. And I put it on the description of the video, but let's.
Turn a light on so you can see me.
Yeah, that's one thing I forgot to do is turn the light on.
There we go.
Okay. It's a petition that says protect all children, require independent safeguarding boards in every care home. So this is basically a petition for to help to try to get accountability for all the homes, the children's homes, the the homes for correction of the children, to make sure that there is accountability for them, to make sure that they are treating the children the way they should be treated. There has to be some kind of authority to
Yep.
be able to, a non-biased board to where that
Yeah,
they can.
there's a
Yeah.
similar thing in process now all over the country. And if you're a child and your parents, for whatever reason, aren't there, you're assigned what's called a guardian ad litem, and
Yeah.
they're the person that is there to represent you and help you make decisions in your favor. And that definitely we need a program like that does weekly, daily inspections and can actually see what goes on. If we would have had one, then the worst thing that ever happened to me at Victory wouldn't have happened.
Well, we are.
I was always
We are.
very
I'm sorry. We're calling for legislation requiring that all residential homes, facilities, and institutions that provide care for children, including those operated under religious leadership, to be overseen by an independent safeguarding board. That's what this petition is is uh, is for.
that would be
So what
awesome.
I'm going to do, I am going to. Let me find it. There we go. Let me copy it, and I'm going to put the link in the chat
Oh no, what I do?
if it'll let me do it there. I don't know whether it will or not.
Oh, what did I do?
You're
There we go.
fine.
Sorry. Don't touch the
I
button.
don't know whether it'll let you. Don't know whether it. Oh, Bubbles did it. She took care of it for me. I don't think mine took very well, but she took care of it. And also, it's in the description of this live stream. So please, please take the time, and once you sign the petition, just share it. Is all you got to do is just share it. But there's another option there, but please don't. You do not have to do anything with that. All you need to do is just please share the petition on your Facebook. Um, if you have a YouTube, just share it on your YouTube to there's Austin. Look, Austin. I showed everybody all my cool things that you got me. I am so thankful. Thank you, sweetheart. I love it. But Yeah, please, please, if you're in the United States,
Yeah.
please sign that petition, because we have to hold these institutions accountable, so that this abuse is stopped. I mean, we do not need more children being abused. I mean, it's bad enough the ones that are at home in their homes, but for them to get out of a situation just to be put into another situation is horrendous. It's horrendous. We have
Yeah.
to help them. We don't need them being abused more than what they were before.
No, and to show you an example of what they would call God's love and mercy was a punishment that I specifically received, and it was very severe and difficult. I was not quiet about what was going on. I was very boisterous, and I wasn't trying to like rock the boat entirely, but I wasn't happy about being in the boat at all. And once a week, Miss Betty would have all the helpers go in the forbidden living room we weren't supposed to go into. And they would have these little meetings on, what girl is doing what, who's doing this. And it was just like a big tell on everybody session. And they had come back and they said, "You're being silenced for a week." I'm like, "Silenced for a week? What does that mean?" And she's like, "Oh, you'll see in the morning." So I'm thinking, silence for what are they going to do to me? So I had all night and I didn't really sleep. And then, we were all quiet. We couldn't talk, and we're brushing our teeth and getting dressed. We're waiting for the bell to ring so we can line up and go to the community room and line up for breakfast. And then we get breakfast and come back. And when, instead of going to our designated jobs, the laundry room, the kitchen, wherever to work, Miss Betty said, "Everyone put your trays away and put the tables away and then stand in a circle." And so we're in the multi-purpose room standing in a circle, and she comes into the circle and she says that Nichole is to be silenced for 7 whole days. And I'm okay, what does that mean? She walked right over to me, pulled out a roll of silver duct tape, and right over my mouth, big piece of duct tape. I could only take it off during breakfast, lunch, or dinner. And then once I was done eating, it went on. I slept with it on. It was on. My face was a mess from the glue. It in the constant ripping it off and putting it back on. My whole face was just so horrible. It was just awful. Silenced means if you went to victory is they put duct tape over your mouth and you physically were not allowed to speak. And it was just ridiculous. So to this day, I refuse to buy the duct tape brand of duct tape, and I won't buy silver. I'll buy white, black, rainbow colored, anything. I have a fear of silver duct tape because of that place.
That's called PTSD, darling.
Oh yeah. that was the thing that broke me the most, that I couldn't believe they were getting away with doing this to me and had no mercy about any of it. I mean, none. And I remember it was lunch and it was the 7th day. And I had asked Miss Betty, I said, "It's been 7 days. Can it come off now?" And she said, "After when I take it off for evening dinner, I didn't have to put it back on." And then we were all in the circle waiting for dinner. and she announced to everyone that my silencing had been over, and I didn't have to wear the duct tape anymore. And it was just that's what broke me.
Wow. There are so many. I know you guys have a Facebook group of survivors,
Oh,
and I would appreciate if you would share your experience with here on our panel, um, because I'd like to hear anyone that would love to come up and tell their story. I know Melinda is supposed to. I actually called her this evening and left her a message. I think she probably didn't recognize the number, and you know how it is. There's so many spam calls anymore. So I'm going to text her later, and maybe she'll give me a call back because I know she wants to come up and tell her story. Well, she's got a story. Was she in the same home as you? You know?
no, it's Melinda was, I believe she was a Bethesda girl,
Oh, okay.
and
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right.
she has her story makes mine look quite tame. She has a very difficult story.
Yeah, yeah. She wants to come up and tell her story, but I know her story has a happy ending, so I'm anxious for
Yes, it does. It
everybody to hear her
does.
story. And I just want to thank you for coming up and sharing your experience. And I hate, I hate that you had to go through that, and I hate that they used our Lord and Savior as a weapon against you guys. I mean, that is just terrible that they use the Word of God to as scare tactics, and to try to beat is exactly, in my opinion, they tried to beat the Word of God into you, and
Oh yeah,
that's
they
nothing
did.
but a cult.
I was actually beaten with a Bible once, like literally beaten with one. But yeah, it was none. There's no God is love. God is merciful. There's none of that. It's they take the worst parts of the Bible and the you shall obey the husband and the child shall be seen and not heard. They take all the fire and brimstone and doom and gloom, and then they just twist it, and then it you hear it so much. I mean, we'd have up to 6 sermons a day, and they could be up to an hour to 2 hours long. So we're constantly getting this negative image of God, and that we're horrible kids, we're horrible drug addicts and thieves, and none of, I mean, I was there for mental health reasons, wasn't because of drugs or sexual activity or anything. And the reasons some of the other girls were there were absolutely ridiculous. I mean, there was nobody there, in my opinion, that did anything in their life to deserve to be sent there.
No,
It's just it.
nobody. I don't care what you've done. You don't deserve that. You don't, especially as, young adults, young teenagers. It's just
Mm-hmm.
it's sad. It's very, very sad. But
Yeah.
um I am so proud of you for being a survivor, and for you going and sharing your story with everyone that you can, because that is uh, that is a testimony. It's a testimony because God is good, and we have to spread spread love and spread kindness. And
Oddly enough, I was raised in Lutheran church, and I went to St. Paul's school, and we had Bible study, and we had catechism, and we had religion book, and we had religion class, and that was all fine. That was the truth. That was the word of God, and it wasn't. So going into Victory, I knew the Bible verses. I knew I could tell you, Genesis to Revelation, the books, and explain all the stories and everything. So that was the only advantage I had going into Victory, was actually knowing what the Bible really says versus what they were telling us. Because there's quite a few times I was doing double takes, and I'm like, that's not what that means. But they would just twist it.
Yeah, the Bible can be narrated in several different ways. And to tell you the truth, lots of times you can read the Bible and God will reveal one thing to you, and then a year later or a week later, you can read the same verse and God will reveal something different to you. So it's, I mean, the Bible is God's word, and it's used. It should be, and it should be used to bring souls to Him. Oh, look! Now, who is that?
Come here, baby. You want to say hi?
Oh,
This is Barker.
hi, Barker.
She is a chocolate and tan miniature pincher.
I had a min
Say
pin.
hi.
Her name was Lily. I loved her. She was, looks like Barker has a little bit of age on her, huh?
Yeah, she's 10. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Her
Yeah,
birthday's
Lily.
November 1st. But yeah, it's my
She's
little
wonderful.
girl. She's the only child. Want to go back up there? I don't have any children, and I've never been married. So
Well, I understand. I mean, hey, and marriage is not for everybody, and you got to be you. You got to be you, and like I said, just be thankful to God, and serve Him.
yeah.
But again, I want to thank you so much. You have we're very grateful for you to coming up and sharing with us.
Well, anytime.
You have anything you want to add, or anything else that you'd like to tell anybody?
If you're having problems with your child, I know it can be expensive, but go through mental health services first. Try to find the root of the problem, what's going on. And if you have to do residential treatment with your kid, research the hell out of the place. Make sure they're licensed. They've got licensed therapists, licensed doctors. It's registered. I mean, don't get sucked in by the bright, shiny apple that they show you, because that apple is rotten to the core. And once they have your child, they have your child. And they dictate the circumstances on which you get to speak to your kid. So if it absolutely has to come to residential treatment, really do your homework and make sure that they're licensed with the state. They all have the appropriate credentials, and it's not a bunch of people just walking in a circle in a horse corral for 8 hours.
Right. Let me put this up there.
But yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, if parents having difficulty with their kid, talk to them. Talk to them. And if that doesn't work, try therapy, try anything. But yeah, and do the research, because if you don't, you will regret it later.
Right.
Because there's a lot of the survivors that I know, and like myself, I have no relationship whatsoever with my mother or father, like at all. I haven't spoken to them in years.
That's sad. That's really sad. I, I pray that one day that you may find peace with that, and that they will come to you, and that God will help make it right for you. I do.
I think things are turning around.
Well, that's good. That's good. And like I said, we will keep you in our prayers. I was trying to find. I know you can dial 988 for
Oh yeah, it's
if you have
the National
for
Suicide
suicide
Crisis Line.
prevention. If anybody has any kind of even a inkling thought of something like that, please reach out. Reach out to the hotline, and there's people there to help you.
And I don't know if Emily mentioned it, but unfortunately, in the survivor community, not just the IFB, but if you went to a wilderness program, a WASP school, anything that fell under the umbrella, we have a very high suicide rate.
Wow, so
Unfortunately.
sad. It's so sad, and I can see why. I mean, it was pure hell what y'all went through. It was
Yeah.
nothing but pure hell,
Yep.
and it's so sad, so sad.
Yep. Beware of nice brochures that have pictures of horses and trails. And it's like you'll get there and you may never ever even see the horse.
I
Like,
gotcha.
yeah. The number one thing is do your research. Get online, talk to people, talk to doctors. And if they're not willing to share their licensure status, and the therapists have to be licensed through the state, if they're not willing to show you any of that, that means they don't have it. And that is like, no, red flag all over.
I agree 100%. If you feel something's wrong, there's something wrong. Reach out to someone.
Yeah, you should be able to. Yeah, you should be able to have access to your child, be able to speak to them on the phone, write to them, have visitation. And this place, you get inside, they lock the door, and that's the end of the story. You're at their mercy.
Oh, that's so scary.
Yep, and all the windows and doors were always locked. So you couldn't get out if you wanted to.
I just trying to get this copy to where I can get it on there without it. It's not going to work out for me. But again, I want to thank you, Nichole, for coming up and sharing with us. And again, reach out. I mean, please share your experience with
Oh, yeah.
with your fellow survivors, and just let them know that there's people that want to hear the story, and they're welcome over here anytime. Just and well, you have me on Messenger, so
Yep.
please add me to Facebook, and we will keep in touch. Okay.
Yep. I've got a person in mind. I'm gonna tell her about you,
Oh, okay.
and
Thank you.
she's an awesome person to interview.
Oh, great, great.
And
Thank you so
um,
much. Thank you so much. All right. Well, you have a wonderful evening.
you too.
Thank you again. We'll see you later. Bye. Guys, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us this evening and hearing Nicole's story. Um, it's just such a sad situation. And please remember to click the link for our petition. Um, we want this to, we'd love for it to go viral too, because we are in search. We want this legislation to make sure that all the children are taken care of the way that they should be taken care of, and that they're not being abused like these poor survivors have. And again, I want to thank Emily and Nicole both for coming up and hanging out with us this evening. You guys are amazing, and I love each and every one of you. Remember, in this whole world, you can be anything that you want to be, but please, just be kind. Treat people the way you want to be treated. And if we do that, can you imagine what an awesome world we would have? I love all of you, and please make sure you hit the like. And everyone that is on the replay, please hit the like button. That means so much to me. I'm working real hard. Actually, I have a team, and we're working very hard to bring you content, good content to share, important content to share. I mean, these people, their stories need to be told. They are, it's sad. It's really sad. But again, thank you very much. I love you all. And happy birthday, Wicked West, tomorrow. Love you guys. Bye.